Hi, good evening. It is John Barnes here. Now, Brian May is best known for his role as the guitarist and songwriter for the legendary band Queen. But did you know that he's also a doctor in astrophysics, or that he's currently the Chancellor of Liverpool's John Moores University? It seems Brian has many strings to his bow other than Queen, and tonight he joins us to talk about something which is very close to his heart, preventing the return of legalised blood sports. Brian, hello, good evening.
Good evening, John.
What a great pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
It's fantastic. Let's start with the campaign then, Brian. Tell us about it, and why did you decide to get involved?
Well, it's called Save Me, and it is named after one of the old songs that I wrote for Queen. It came about, it's a non-political campaign. I have supporters in all three political parties, but nevertheless, we have to talk politics because I wouldn't be involved in it if it weren't for the fact that one of our famous would-be prime ministers announced that if he got into power, he would smash the hunting law and bring back fox hunting and stag hunting with dogs and hare coursing. Now, this is David Cameron, and, this is about as political as I'm going to get. But I could not believe what I was hearing, and I immediately thought, well, somebody has to speak up about this, because I don't think people realise. And they're very cleverly soft-peddling and saying, no, we're not really going to do this, it's going to be a free vote, etc. But it's all been very cleverly engineered so that these people hope that we will be able to tear wild animals limb from limb again legally. Now, I find this so horrendous. I thought, I'm sorry, I need to get into this, and somebody needs to put their life on hold for a minute and see if we can make sure this doesn't happen.
Brian, you say you have cross-party support. How many candidates have already made a commitment to the cause?
Well, we have most of the Labour Party already committed, which you would expect because they're the people who put the protection there in the first place. They put the Hunting Act there in 2004, and it was by good democratic process and took them a long time to do it. So most of them are on our side, with one particular exception, the lady who's standing in Vauxhall, because she's the leader of the Countryside Alliance. And of course the Countryside Alliance are the people who really are trying desperately to bring blood sports back into the legal area. Among the Conservatives, there are 26. I know exactly what I'm talking about. There are 26 Conservatives who are against the repeal, and most of those have actually given us an endorsement to the campaign, which is brilliant. So it's not a party political thing in that sense. Among the Lib Dems, a majority of them are against the repeal, but there are some who are for repeal and have the same sort of views as most of the Conservatives. The Green Party are in favour of keeping the protection there, keeping the Act in there. So that's kind of where we are, really. I'm appealing to everyone to find out what their local candidates' views are. I've been encouraging people to write to their local MPs and asking them how they will vote, how the candidates will vote if the subject comes up, if there is a repeal vote comes up. So that's all I'm asking, really. I'm asking people to make sure that they know what they're voting for. And if they're animal lovers and they really want to make sure that we don't return to this awful, barbaric, so-called sporting activity, then please visit my Save Me site, saveme.org.uk, and there you will find information as to how your candidates sit.
Brian, let's take a look at the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in the country say that foxes are a pest.
Yes, it's a lie. It's a downright lie. They're all lies, all these claims, because foxes actually wouldn't be as proliferous as they are if the hunt wasn't there, and any real huntsman will admit that. They actually help foxes to breed, because if there were no foxes, they'd have no sport. And I'm reliably informed, just recently actually, this made me laugh, but they actually exterminated foxes in the Isle of Wight a few years ago, and so they had to import more foxes. So don't tell me foxes are a pest. They are not,
It is, Brian. It is an ancient country tradition. Though,
it is, and there's lots of ancient traditions which are very bad. Do you still want to be burning witches? Do you still want wife beating? Tradition is no argument either. I'm sorry, I'm ready for all these lame arguments. There is no justification. The only people I believe who argue in favour of fox hunting are people who say to me, I like doing it. I like tearing these foxes apart. I like the cruelty. I like the chase. It appeals to something in my psyche. Those people, I believe, all the other stuff about foxes being vermin, or, we are ennobling foxes by hunting them. We're making the breed stronger. It's all bollocks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the word bollocks. You can bleep it if you like, but it's bollocks. And they're all trumped up little claims to try and make it look okay. But it's not okay to torture animals. Do not tell me. I'm sorry. It's not.
It has sparked some violent I'll say it again in English, actually. It has sparked some violent confrontations in the past, though, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, people cling to their traditions. It's very much like trying to abolish slavery. It's a very similar thing. People clung to that and produced all sorts of arguments. I've got a lot. It's a fascination for me. And people were saying, oh, we need our slaves. The economy will collapse without slavery. And some of them even said, the slaves are better off with us. They're better off under our rule. They'd be out there being heathens otherwise. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is not long ago. So it's the same kind of arguments that are being used by some people to try and keep fox hunting as part of our so-called heritage. Well, I'm sorry. Cruelty is not part of my world and will not be tolerated.
There are so many things going on at the moment, Brian, in terms of the election. There are so many issues. There's the financial issues. Is this the most important subject at the moment?
Well, exactly. Why are we talking about fox hunting? Why is, in the middle of a complete economic disaster, is this bunch of people led by Cameron wanting to the first thing they want to do when they get into power is to repeal an act which protects animals? I find it absolutely unsupportable. And that's why I'm here. It's not my choice to make a big deal about fox hunting. The only reason I'm out here making a noise is because they have made it an issue. And it's now something they don't want to talk about. They're cleverly sidestepping the questions because although that's one of their main driving forces to bring back fox hunting, because they're all Countryside Alliance people, they don't want to talk about it because it's going to lose them votes. The vast majority of British people are decent animal-loving people who absolutely don't want this detestable so-called sporting activity to return. So that's me.
Clearly, we know where you stand on this, Brian. But are you surprised that this issue has actually come back into play again?
I'm surprised that it was brought back at this time when we should all be talking about putting the country right in terms of economy. Yes, I'm absolutely appalled that this wonderful law, which was put into place at great time and expense in 2004 by a good democratic process, suddenly that would be called into question, all raked up again by a party who ought to be talking only about putting the country right economically.